So we left off on Canadian consumers lose more than Canadian producers gain, and what we have here is the graph that shows total surplus with free international trade. We have the world price, the consumer surplus, the producer surplus, the imports, and the gains from free trade. And in this case, total surplus is maximized. Now, let's add on the $2 tariff to the world price, making the world price plus tariff $7. In such cases, the price of jeans in Canada actually rises to $7, and the quantity of jeans made in Canada actually increased because before they were making only 2 million. Domestic producers only making 2 million pairs of jeans, now they're making 3.5 million. And quantity bought in Canada actually decreases. Before, domestic consumers were buying 6 million pairs of jeans, now they're only buying 4.5 million. So, what actually happened? So, what happened was that consumer surplus actually shrank. This was our graph before, or this was our figure before. Look at this huge green area. That was our consumer surplus. Now we have this smaller consumer surplus, smaller area. So what actually happened was consumer surplus shrank. But to trade off with the shrinking of the consumer surplus, we actually increased or expanded our producer surplus to this blue area. Before, this producer surplus was only this small area that we have, but now it includes this B area that we gained from the shrinking of the consumer surplus. So B is a transfer from consumer surplus to producer surplus, and imports actually decreased, as we can see here. Before, imports was this big green arrow, but now imports is only this small little arrow of about a million pairs of jeans being imported. So the tariff revenue actually equals to area D, which is which probably I should highlight that first. So to highlight this, this is the tariff revenue, which is this purple area, and this is area D. And I need to switch to pen again. So this is D, and I will not use green, and I will try to use pink. So that's area D. So tariff revenue equals area D, and we get D by taking the imports of jeans, which is 1 million imports times $2, which is the $2 tariff, to get a tariff revenue of $2 million per year, which is what I had up here before, $2 million per year. So that's how I got that number. And the last part is the society loses and a deadweight loss actually arises. So some of the loss of consumer surplus transferred to producer surplus, and some is transferred to the government as tariff revenue. However, the increase in production costs and the loss from decreased imports is a social loss. The cost of producing jeans in Canada increases, and this results in the social loss area C, which we have here, and which I will highlight gray to show that it is a deadweight loss. And there is also a decrease in the quantity of imported jeans. This results in the social loss area E. And the tariff actually creates a social loss, which is a deadweight loss, equal to the area C plus E. So this is our deadweight loss. As you can tell, most of the deadweight loss is always colored gray for me, but the most important part is not to know that the decrease in the quantity of imported jeans results in social loss area E. Well, actually, this is kind of important, but if you know how to make this graph, then you should be good for any test that your professor will throw at you. The most important thing you should know how to do is how to get this tariff revenue, because once you get the tariff revenue, then pretty much the deadweight loss and the deadweight loss C and E is pretty much just given to you, because you're drawing a square from this point from 3.5 to 4.5, right? Where you draw the square, and then you have these two we have the supply curve and demand curve enclosing this area. So then we have this square area D, and then this triangular area C and E. We know that this equilateral. Well, I don't really remember my triangles anymore, but this green triangle here above D is actually a consumer surplus. So the area, the triangles beside this square area D is actually our deadweight loss. So that's the easiest way to know what our deadweight loss is. Now, let's get into import quotas. So an import quota is a restriction limiting the maximum quantity of a good that may be imported in a given period. So let's take a look at jeans again. So before the import quota, we have a world price of $5 in Canada that imports 4 million jeans per year, nothing new. Now after the import quota, what happens then? So after an import quota of 1 million jeans is imposed, with the quota, the supply of jeans in Canada becomes S plus quota, and really your lines should be straight, make your figures beautiful, and makes your professor proud. And the price actually increases or rises to $7 as shown. So what happened is um, we drew our supply plus our quota, and the price actually increased to $7. And I think I'm running out of time, so I'm just gonna leave this off here and get back to this in the next video. Please rate, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and check out our social media in the description below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.